If you have to worry about your dog snapping at you, life very quickly becomes scary and sometimes really lonely, and nobody talks about it. So this is what happened to me when my first dog Sammy moved in, and I will give you tips and tricks on how to fix it fast and what you have to keep in mind with a bite risk dog in day-to-day life. But first, let me tell you this. Yes, it's normal that you don't trust your dog if your dog tried to bite you or already bit you. And that's really stressful. It's stressful if you're living with somebody you can't trust. And most of the time, friends and family will not be able to relate, either because they haven't experienced it or they can't imagine things like that happening. They can't imagine dogs acting like that. They can't understand why you would stick to a dog who acts like that. I get it. I get it. I lived it. And yes, there are some cases where there is no way out, but in most cases, we can do something. And for that, changing this as quickly as possible, but also to have somebody to talk to, a professional, is sometimes the only choice. At least that's what I do with my clients. I'm always there to just have an open ear when somebody needs to talk or if somebody just wants to express feelings, right? Because yes, sometimes when things get tough and when we are dealing with big emotions with our dogs, we need somebody to talk to who understands what we're going through. And that might not be everybody, especially when we're living with a bite risk dog. But the most important thing, you need to relax the whole situation, the whole living arrangement, is to feel safe again. And for that, you need management in place in whatever situation you need while training, because training takes time, right? You have to unlearn things, you have to relearn other things. Your dog has to do the same, and that takes time. And during that period, you need management techniques, and that can mean your dog has to be muzzled, can mean you need baby gates, doors, gateways, a leash. All of these things are fine. And for some dogs, that might mean 24/7 muzzle. Yes, it has to be a really well-fitting muzzle. Of course, it cannot just be some kind of crappy plastic thing that doesn't allow breathing, right? But whatever management you need to feel safe in your own home is fine. Do that. That's also what we professionals will advise you on whenever we're working together, right? If you're doing it alone, research really thoroughly and look up whatever you need, right? And the goal with whatever training we're doing and whatever management we put in place is that we will establish trust so that the management will no longer be necessary or no longer be as necessary. So if we have a dog who is muzzled 24/7 in the beginning, we want that muzzle to come off eventually, at least at certain times, right? And for that, we have to respect our dog's boundaries. That means we cannot just put a muzzle on the dog and then do whatever we want and ignore the dog's boundaries and just overwhelm the dog because he can't hurt us anymore. We have incapacitated the weapons, right? That's not fair, and that's not sustainable training. So that goes especially for grooming, husbandry stuff, things like that. Brushing, clipping nails, everything that has to do with doing something on the dog's body. All right? So let's make a deal with the dog. We respect each other's well-being. So let's take brushing for an example. Brushing is something that very often leads to bites because we do not honor the little signals our dogs send us before the bite happens. So the dogs might lick their lips, turn the head away, try to walk away, pull their paws away, all those things. And we ignore that. So the dog has to be more direct in telling us to stop what we're doing, right? Because it's uncomfortable. Now, what we are doing now with this new deal is we are actually giving our dogs the opportunity to tell us when it's okay to brush the dog and when the dog needs a break or wants us to stop completely. So we are giving control to the dog. That's medical training. And yes, the dogs do participate because they like doing stuff with us and they get things out of it, right? They get the rewards and all the nice things. So even though you might be wondering, why should my dog endure uncomfortable things just because I give him a treat? It works. Try it. Yes, sometimes we need really, really good rewards. We need really yummy food, really yummy treats, but it works. It works even with zoo animals who have no connections to humans whatsoever. So why shouldn't it work with a dog who loves doing stuff with you, right? It might take some time to establish trust, but it will work. So trust the process, do it small steps, and give it time. And if there is something like your dog has really long claws and they need to be clipped now and you cannot train, talk to your vet. There might be an option with medication, sedation, whatever, to do it once at the vet's office, take the whole situation to the vet so the context is different, do it once and then start training. Might be a way better option for your dog and for you and for your relationship, all right? The next very, very common situation where dogs might snap is resources. My Sammy had both, so he didn't like to be touched at all, and he guarded resources, a lot of them, his own body for starters, his toys and food and stuff like that. So again, trust is an issue. The dog does not trust the human. So he feels like he has to guard the thing so that he can keep the thing. So what we need to do is we need to teach the dog, hey, there is no threat coming from us. You are in no danger of losing whatever's important to you, and we are not doing anything to hurt you. If it's the dog's own body he's guarding. That's a very, very important resource, right? We can never forget that. Tell me in the comments if your dog's snappy around resources or if it's the grooming thing. I would love to know. Of course, sometimes it's intertwined, right? If your dog's guarding his own body and doesn't want to get touched, this might be a medical issue as well. So keep in mind that you might need a vet check. There might be pain issues or whatever, but you can actually teach your dog that your touch is something good and also teach your dog to walk away so that this becomes the default instead of biting you. That's a way better option, right? And even after fixing those things, so even after you learn to trust your dog again, you establish your routines, you establish your new strategies, your dog learns to trust you, and you get to a level where everything's fine. You might need to manage situations that other dog parents don't even think about. And that's something like having guests over. If you have a bite risk dog, having guests over or walking your dog, things like that can be a challenge. So guests might not know how to behave around your dog, or it might not even possible to have guests over with your dog. So maybe you need to find arrangements to have your dog at a pet sitter for a few hours if you have a handyman over or your family or whatever. Or you have your dog in a different room with some kind of enrichment toy or whatever. All those strategies need to be in place and really well practiced before you can actually bring people over. And you might need the management techniques again. So you might need a muzzle again, a leash again, the baby gates, whatever. The important thing is really to keep everybody safe. You, your dog, everybody you bring in close contact to your dog. You need to establish rules like no touching the dog, and you need to be sure that people obey that rule. It is really, really important because those people come into your dog's safe zone. Your dog only has this safe zone and you can't ask your dog if this is okay. So people are intruding, right? And that's why it's even more important that they are not imposing on your dog or cornering your dog or doing anything that's even more scary for your dog. So with all those things, the main point of all the training and all the management and everything is trust, right? And you might be asking yourself how you can start trusting your dog again, how you can boost your relationship, how you can just start enjoying each other again. And you can find out how to do that in this video.